Okay, we're a little more than halfway through the NFL season. We have had some of the more how would we put this? Some of the teams that we expected a lot from. Some of them are achieving up to that level. Others are disappointing. And then there are some teams who we might have had questions about coming into the season that either exceeded our expectations or fell flat on their face. So, Shawn, I'm going to throw this to you. What are your biggest surprises from the current NFL season?
So, surprises from this current NFL season. Clearly, everyone is shocked and confused with what's going on with the Cincinnati Bengals. Everybody had Joe Burrow making his push for another Super Bowl visit, potentially to win it all this year, and the Bengals have fell flat on their face. And it's the same outcome like it is every year. All Joe Burrow does is get injured. He's not on the field. The team's defense is horrible. It's nothing what we expected.
Yeah, and I think for the Bengals, like, yes, we've seen this story before. We've seen it more than once, really, but I don't think you could have predicted how bad the defense would be. Like, this is one of the worst defensive performances for a season that
It's
I can
atrocious.
remember. Like, run through the scores: 17-16 win against the Browns while Burrow was healthy. Gave up 27 to the Jags, 48 to the Vikings, 28 to the Broncos, and your team's offense is debatable. And then ever since,
Good.
they
It's
haven't
good.
allowed,
It's good. Let's not go there. It's
it's
good.
good. It's good. They have not allowed less than 27 points since week one. Let me just say that again. They have not allowed less than 27 points since week one. It is a disaster. And I think the big takeaway is you pay three offensive players 80% of your salary cap. This is kind of what happens.
Yeah. And they're ranked 29th in sacks. So no one's pressuring the quarterback. They're also ranked 7th in interceptions,
I mean, they gave
which
up
isn't too
48 to the
bad.
Bears. Like, what? You can't. No disrespect. I'm sorry, 47. No disrespect to Caleb and the gang.
I think
But
that's disrespect. Caleb is playing lights out right now.
okay. So how about this? You gave up 39 to the Jets.
Okay. Now,
Is that
now we're
better?
talking.
Is that better?
That's much better.
39 to the Justin Fields New York Jets, which
when when you make Justin Fields look good, that is a problem.
literally bought him 2 more weeks, basically, with that alone. So I don't know. Biggest surprises for Cincy. Gross. Did you expect Washington to fall off this hard? Part of me was like, and I'm seeing it now with the Patriots where they have this cupcake schedule because they were in last place so many times in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the Commanders definitely had a light schedule last year, but I also feel like they won more close games, like games that were 50-50. It seemed like all of them went the Commanders' way. Obviously, there was that kind of soul crushing Hail Mary for the Bears that ended up, what's the word? Ended up getting Eberflus booted into the Phantom Zone because that was basically his career right there. They killed their season, and then they just kept rolling from there. I know Daniels has been hurt. He hasn't been able to stay healthy, but like, it's just been a weird season out of Washington, and they just have not been able to get any kind of momentum.
And then also we have to look at Daniels. I just think it's a sophomore slump. And then also when you factor in the fact that he hasn't been able to stay on the field consistently.
Hasn't been healthy, and that was the thing with him coming out, is that he is skinny. He takes a lot of big hits. There's a hilarious highlight reel of just the Jaden Daniels getting lit up all through LSU and Arizona State, where he's just falling, like getting hit like it's those old NFL classics videos where he's just flying all over the place.
And he's still getting hit in the NFL. I mean, if you look at what happened last week, you know, they pulled another RG3. There was no reason for him to be in that game that late. There was no chance of a comeback, and to have him out on the field and to get that type of injury in that fashion, completely unnecessary.
And they got lucky because he's not going to lose. Like, he's not going to be out for the season. He's
Mhm.
not going to need surgery.
If that was his
And
throwing arm, that would have been
that'd have
whew.
been a disaster. But like, they maybe they get him back if it matters. They're not going to make the playoffs. They still have All right, they still have your team, still have to see Minnesota, still have to see the Eagles twice. They're not going to
At
make the playoffs.
3-7, they're not making the
Yeah,
playoffs.
they're out of it. Um, and almost it almost feels like you shouldn't bring back Jaden. Like there's no need to even risk getting this guy hurt. It's a different story if you are 9, if you're looking at trying to sneak in at 9-8, right? If you think you have an outside chance, you still have the Eagles twice. Even though the Cowboys have been a kind of a disappointing team. You don't have a easy win here other than the Giants, if it's a Jameis Winston Giants or maybe Jackson Dart is back. Like we saw last week, the Dolphins can beat you. And they're going to be playing the Dolphins in Spain with Marcus Mariota. If there's any setting that I would say the Dolphins could thrive in, it's playing in Madrid. Like this feels like something they were made to do is go bright, sunny weather late or mid November and kind of put on a show for an international audience. So I think the Commanders are out of it. I would have expected them to at least be mid. Like you remember CJ's second year where it was a bit of a letdown, but I think they still snuck into the playoffs or made it close. But this is it just went completely sideways for Washington here. And I don't know what they do next year. They brought in these vets. They brought in Debo, paid him. I don't know what your plan is kind of for resetting this next year, but
Time to tank your season. At this point at 3-7,
and you hate to say
the
tank,
future
but
doesn't look, yeah, the season doesn't look bright. At this point, it's time to cut your losses. Let Mariota play the rest of the year. There's no reason to rush Jalen Daniels back in there because you're subjecting him to, potentially a late season ACL tear, which could bleed into the next season. So you want to make sure he stays healthy. What I would do, keep Mariota in for the rest of the season. Um, and
just
then potentially look to draft, get you a nice young stud to come in on the offensive side of the ball. I truly believe Washington needs to improve the run game if they want a better future.
but it's like time to evaluate your roster, see who can play, who you want to keep next year. Everybody else you can send off for scrap.
It
I
can be
mean,
fixed. They can turn that team around.
yeah, especially in that division. If like, I mean, the Giants are going to get their guys back. I don't know what the Cowboys' path forward is, and maybe we can get to that later. But with the vibes going on in Philly, right, where they're holding this thing together, but nobody seems to be happy about it. Like the Commanders can sneak right back in there and get maybe a 10-win season next year. I'm going to
Easily.
throw one more surprise out here. It's not so much of a team, it is the end of the Kyler Murray era. I think it's fair to say that the Cardinals are going to be moving on from Kyler. He's probably going to be somewhere. My guess would be Vegas, it seems like, is the most likely team for Kyler next year, but could be Carolina, could be New York, maybe.
Could be the
Maybe
Browns.
could be the Browns. I don't think the Browns are going to do that again. I hope not. I hope the Browns have learned, but I don't know that they have. But I think it's clear that whether it was the leadership style, the fact that he can't stay on the field, I think is a big issue. Like when he
I mean,
plays,
the Steelers could be in contention as well.
Steelers in contention for it doesn't seem like a good personality fit with Pittsburgh and Tomlin. But I would have said that about Rodgers.
Because
And
Rodgers is not playing another year. I mean, by the looks of it, I think this is it. This is his
no.
final run. So what is Pittsburgh going to do at the quarterback position?
And is Kyler Murray somebody that like they don't the problem with the Steelers every year, they always get to 9-10 wins. They're never drafting in the top 10. They never have a shot at a life-changing QB. Now they got lucky with Big Ben. I think they snagged Ben in the mid-first round, 20 years back. But that usually doesn't happen. Like more often than not, if you're picking mid to late first round, the QBs available there are not winning QBs.
Remind me when Lamar Jackson was drafted. What was his
Okay,
pick?
fair. 2018, he was 30. He was 30,
You
but
got to be willing to pull the trigger
Lamar was a Heisman winning quarterback,
and
and he
drop to
didn't
30.
he didn't go late because he couldn't play QB. He went late because executives thought he couldn't play QB. They thought he was a receiver, a running back. And I think we hadn't got like Lamar has, I think, done more for the NFL than, let me just say this. And I know we're getting a little off topic because we're talking about Kyler Murray, but the idea that your QB should be able to run and throw, I think, is single handedly to Lamar Jackson. We saw with Pat being mobile and being able to make plays off schedule is big, but the idea that you have a QB with running ability, go down the list of teams. Who has a QB left who's a pure pocket passer? You've got maybe the Seahawks. Even Darnold can move a little bit. The Falcons, Penix is kind of a statue back there. Rodgers obviously doesn't have that mobility like he did anymore, but having your QB who is able to move and design runs for, that I feel like is you can directly attribute to Lamar in that season. And the reason he went 30th wasn't because it didn't have anything to do with what he had shown on the field. It's just executives didn't think he could do the position as they had grown up watching it. All of this is to say, I think Kyler Murray was a direct beneficiary from that. Kyler Murray went first overall the next year. He showed that he could run. He won the Heisman at Oklahoma too, obviously. He showed you could be a mobile QB with a big arm. And like Kyler Murray he makes plays. He has made plays throughout his career. I think what the two biggest issues are obviously his health. He has not been able to stay healthy for an entire season.
And that
And
has
then the lead,
everything to do with his stature.
yeah. And then the leadership style, there's never been like Kyler Murray is not to say he is not a leader, but his style or his communication style, whatever it is, does not seem to be working. And I don't know that it ever worked in Arizona. And you can say the team has put a bad roster around him. You can say they waited too long to give him weapons, to give him like a competent O line, give him a good coach. I'm not saying everything is on Kyler, but the era, I think it's over. And wherever he is next year, I'm confident to say it won't be Arizona.
That's fair. That's fair. Murray has a bright future, though. I think a change of scenery and the right coach.
Change of
You plug him in.
scenery.
It
We'll
makes a
put him
difference
somewhere.
leaving franchises. Look at what happened with Sam Darnold. Look at what happened with Baker Mayfield. Look what's currently happening with Daniel Jones. A
Even
change of
Geno
scenery.
for 4 years, it was great.
Even Geno. That's a good point. It's been 4 years.
I think
Geno
it was
was with
four
the Seahawks.
years since he joined the Seahawks right after the pandemic, right?
Whoa.
Like he had
Yeah.
a nice run, and then I don't think we need to spend time talking about Vegas, but he had a good run for a moment, and then I think just age has caught up with him here. But now is a perfect time to segue into our kind of conversation I wanted to get to, which is real or AI. Which teams are actual contenders and which ones are fake, synthetic? It's not going to work. So I'm going to run through the standings. I'll go to the division leaders in each conference, and you tell me, is this team for real or is this fake? And are what we're seeing right now is just an illusion and it's not going to last. So let's start. Let's go with the NFC. The Philadelphia Eagles, real or fake?
Hate to admit it, but they're real. They're the real deal. I always say if you can go out there on Sunday and win games when it matters, that's what makes you an elite team. Is the team as flashy as they were last year? Not at all, in no way, shape, or form. But are they gritting it out and getting it done? Yes, you can't deny that fact.
Like, you don't have to
So
like each other to win.
in my boat, they're real.
Let's move down NFC North, because there's really nobody else in the NFC East who is even up for discussion. NFC North, we have three teams, real or fake. Let's start with the Detroit Lions, tied for first in the division at 6-3. Are they real or is this fake?
Detroit Lions are real. The question is, once they reach the playoffs, can they take it to the chip? That's the ultimate test. Their coach is gutsy. I believe they hold the record for most fourth down
Conversions.
conversions. Yeah, for sure. That's amazing. Love the aggression. Now, is the coaching is the coaching going to fall off once you reach the playoffs? Because there's going to be moments where you're going to have to go for it on fourth, and there's going to be moments where, yeah, it's time to let your defense take over. And we'll see how that aggression translates back into the playoffs another year. Are they going to be able to get over that hump?
I think the Lions' biggest issue, like last year, they were so injured. And I know, you play with who you have, but they just were not able to get a complete roster into the playoffs. Basically, they were
And they still played
hanging on.
efficiently.
They still tried, they fought, but they are healthier this year. Now the offense has been up and down, and I wonder how much what we will say on Tuesday after this game next Monday night, whether or not the Lions are a real team, because this is a big test. They're going head to head against the Eagles, and I think if the Eagles prove to, I mean, if the Lions can win this in Philly, they go into Philadelphia, they beat the Eagles Monday Night Football. We will start talking about them as, is this the contender in the NFC? There's going to be two other teams in this division though who are going to be pushing them, because right now the Chicago Bears are 6-3, and I'm just
Yes.
going to come out and say that is a fake 6-3. I I don't want to disrespect the Bears. They are playing better football than I've ever seen them play. They are winning close games that they would have lost last year. They, in these one score games against the Raiders, against the Commanders, and against the Bengals, I think they fold in all of those games if this were last year, or even the Giants this week. Those are games that the Bears historically lose in just a hilarious way. And they're pulling these games out, but then you're telling me, are the Chicago Bears a team that I need to worry about? I'm not thinking about the Bears as a playoff team, because if you watch the Bears, it looks like for 3.5 quarters, they're kind of either their opponent is making mistakes,
Hmm.
like they lead the league in turnovers forced, or they're just
Positive
kind of
14.
they're kind of falling forward at all times. They're just kind of they're tripping over themselves, but somehow their momentum is carrying them downhill. And
They're
so
number one in interceptions.
they are.
They're
The
ranked
forcing turnovers
seventh.
like crazy.
Yeah, they're ranked seventh in points per game. So they are putting points on the board.
They are. But then
They're
look at the
third in
defenses
yardage
they've
per
gone
game.
against.
Now that's a fair critique there, and I do agree. The defenses that they have played have been mediocre for sure. But again, um, I, if you can win in the fourth quarter when the game matters, that's what's important. And as long as Caleb Williams is going out there, juking and spinning for his life, and then throwing darts, they have a chance.
He is good. And I do think he's been overshadowed a lot because of last year with Jaden, and even Bo, because Bo made a playoff run. And then this year, I think we've
It's looking
talked
good.
we've talked way more about JJ McCarthy. We've talked more, obviously, Bo Nix. Jaden Daniels, maybe not as much, but we just replaced Jaden with Drake May, and Caleb is better. I think it was easy to hate and laugh uh, at the Bears in that situation, because it's like the Bears just ruined QBs. And I feel like a lot of people were trying to confirm that belief that, oh, Caleb's going to go to the Bears. Bears are going to ruin him. He's never going to work. And it is working for now. I think this is a solid team, and they might be good next year. But for this year, for 2025, I do not see the Chicago Bears as remotely a contender, but they could be fun. They could be building something. And
Where do you see them ending the season record wise?
well, with their schedule that they have, let me pull it up real quick.
So they play the Minnesota Vikings this Sunday, followed by the Pittsburgh Steelers, Philadelphia Eagles, the Green Bay Packers, the Cleveland Browns, the Packers, and the 49ers. And then lastly, the Detroit Lions.
I mean,
That's a winnable
it's
season.
it's tough because my gut tells me the Bears can lose very winnable games, and I don't trust them against the Steelers. I don't trust them against the Eagles or against the Packers. So it's like that could be three in a row, and now we're 6-6. Like
Fair statement.
there's a version of this season where the Bears go on a 7-game losing streak, and if you told me they dropped the last 7 to Pittsburgh, Philly, Green Bay twice, I wouldn't be surprised. Like I would just be like, yeah, that doesn't surprise me because those are, other than Cleveland, all of those are teams that I would put ahead of Chicago, and I would actually expect to beat Chicago. I'm not going to favor Chicago in any game other than that Cleveland matchup. So, record wise, I will give them 9-6, 9-8. Where are we at 9-8? Because I do think they've had a great run in beating teams that they're supposed to beat. They made it harder on themselves than it should have been. The Bengals basically had to win on a last second Hail Mary. Well, maybe not a Hail Mary, but you almost gave away the Bengals game. You had to fight back against the New York Giants, who just fired their coach, or you went down 10 against the Giants. And then they kind of snuck out these games earlier in the season against the Raiders, against the Commanders. Like a win is a win. You don't take it away from them, but I would expect as the competition gets better, those 50-50 games, I'm not going to bet on the Bears every time. So that is not, to me, a contender, but it's a fun story. But in the same division, you look at Green Bay, we put a lot of hype around Green Bay to start the year, and I don't know if they're living up to those expectations.
And it's solely
Monday,
because of the trade.
because of the trade, but also because they were supposed to be better than this. And I think Monday was an abomination of football. That Eagles game, like, okay, you could say good defense. That was just bad to watch. They couldn't get anything going on offense. Love
Both
never
sides.
Love never got comfortable, and the Eagles were just begging to give that game away. And the Packers were like, "No, we don't want it. We're good." They didn't score until early into the fourth quarter, and you're just waiting for the Packers to prove that we are this team that you all expect us to be. Kind of the way when last year or 2 years ago, when Detroit signaled that they are a real team and we were expecting them to prove it week after week, they went in and did that. The Packers are not doing that, and it it just kind of fits a pattern where they're good, but they never seem to strike fear when the postseason comes around. And I'm just waiting for Jordan Love to establish that no, I'm not just the guy who replaced Aaron Rodgers. I am among the best QBs in this league, and I don't feel that about him. I feel like he is a good QB. You never want to call somebody a game manager, but when it's time for you to carry the team, I'm not sure that Jordan Love is there just yet. So I would put the Packers in borderline fake. I might need a second opinion.
I have to agree with you. What is this year 3 with Matt LaFleur?
No, I think it's year 5.
Year 5? I know it's been quite some time, and we know how good of a offensive coordinator he is. We've seen what he's done with Rodgers. Of course, Rodgers is an elite quarterback, but at this point, Jordan Love should have matured into the quarterback that we thought he was, and we're not seeing that right now.
Like he's good.
He's good, but he's not the next coming of Rodgers and Favre. And I
Not
think
yet.
that's what everybody is anticipating. That's what everybody expects. And we're not getting that right now. And I would have to agree with you. I think the Packers overall, just the play call. So I've been watching these games very closely. That fourth quarter play, need 2 yards to get the first down. And you're going to run a inside zone from shotgun, and the player called it out
Awful
clear as
play.
day. The defense was well aware, and this is where you get an elite quarterback. Had that been Brady or Manning, that play would have been audibled and it would have been a first down effortlessly.
I mean, it says a lot about where we are in the NFL in 2025, where if I had Sam Darnold on 4th and 2, I trust Sam Darnold to convert that this year at least. If that was Baker, I trust Baker
100%.
to figure that out and to run in like that. I think that's the
We're
worst
going to
play.
check down on the run, and then
Yeah.
they called out the run, and there was no type of audible or no change up or anything. Like,
That is It is like the worst play in football. Third and short, fourth and short, going to shotgun, and then hand it off. Not
It's like
even no trickery. Like we're gonna run gap,
nothing.
and so not something you ever want to see. I'm gonna put the Packers in. I don't know. I need a second opinion. We need another look. All right, two more divisions. The NFC South, just one team here, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, coming off a close loss to the Patriots. They have not been able to be healthy all season. They have played they've played teams pretty close, but it seems in all of these big matchups they have not been able to pull these out.
And that right there is the biggest downfall. It's injury. That team is injury prone. We've lost Mike Evans. Is Godwin back? Is
He's
Godwin
not
back?
back yet. He might.
Godwin is still out. They're dealing with injuries on both sides of the ball. Also, I believe they lost a lineman earlier in the season as well. I think they're real, but due to injury, they're going to be out of the contention.
And they could get their guys back. They have a cupcake schedule after this week where it's just Arizona, they have New Orleans, Carolina twice, and the Falcons and Dolphins. Like they could, if they get their guys back, obviously Evans is done, but if Bucky Irving comes back, you get Godwin back, Abuka gets to 100%. He's been playing a little injured. You start getting your guys healthy, you could roll into the postseason with a nice winning record. They just have to get there.
So I think they're going to make the postseason for sure. That division is
Division is
it's up,
fun.
and it is fun to watch because the Falcons are performing a lot better than I expected, and even the Saints can make a game competitive. They might not win, but they'll actually throw the ball around and make the
Yeah,
game entertaining.
I don't think the Saints are a bad hang. The Falcons are fun as I mean, it's good TV. The Falcons don't go in there. They don't stink it up.
Same
Now,
thing with the Panthers going 5-5. That's
but
unexpected for
it's
me.
been an ugly 5-5. It's been like they beat what did they beat the Packers 13-7 or so. It's a weird 5-5. I also think the Panthers are a potential Kyler Murray team next year. I think it
Yes,
is.
but
I
that's
think
trading in one. That's trading in one midget for another.
that's trading one undersized QB for another. But I just think for their situation, this is now year 3 with Bryce, and I just don't see it. I see a fine quarterback. He does not have the ability to elevate that team. Like we would know by now if Bryce was QB1, and it could be a situation where he needs to go somewhere else, like Darnold did, like Danny did, and be a backup for a year or two. Like just sit behind a better QB or in a system that is a competent offense. And I do think the Panthers are in year 3 better than they ever were in the last 2 years of the Bryce Young era,
Yep.
but it hasn't clicked with him yet, and it might require that he goes and sits in a offense like LA, like San Francisco, or even the Packers, and plays that backup role for a year or two. I don't think it's best for him to just go and start right away. But if you were able to go to an organization that said, hey, you're just going to be scout, you're going to be the backup, we are going to develop kind of your ability to just see an offense and play within that structure. I think he has a future, but it's not in Carolina. I think this is over.
Yep.
And
No
if
reason to give him money. No reason to sign him to a fat deal. It's
no,
time to walk away.
and I think you could still get maybe a 5th round pick for him. It's not what you wanted. I think the Panthers are a lot to blame in him not working out. I think he's had 3 coaches, if I'm not mistaken, in 3 years. So it's an unfortunate situation for the organization. I wish him the best, but I don't think it's going to continue in Carolina. With that said, we now have maybe the best division in football right now, the NFC West. We have 2 teams tied at 7-2, and we have the somehow still alive 49ers trying to hang on. They are gritting it out with Michael McCorkle Jones. And I'll go in reverse order, starting with that San Francisco team. Is this real or is this fake?
100% fake. After what happened, after what happened last Sunday,
Mm.
the LA Rams had a field day on that 49ers defense. We had old man Devontae Adams out there just playing for his life.
Quietly good fantasy season for Devontae.
Quietly
Quiet.
good. I'm upset I didn't draft him. I don't even want to talk about fantasy. If I don't win this game, I'm out. So
Like it has been, and you know, you saw it early in the season. Like first 3 weeks, they were trying to force him these goal line fades, and they were missing every time. Like they would hit him two plays in a row where they're trying to get the ball to Devontae somewhere in the red zone, and it wasn't working yet. But now this Rams offense is coming together, and you really saw that last week. But for the Niners, I'm gonna say it, and I think I've told you this sometime in the past. I thought the Patriots were the problem with Mac Jones. I didn't think Mac was terrible. I think we gave him a defensive coordinator to run the offense and then Joe Judge to be the QB's coach. I think he had a terrible O line. I can't tell you who the best receiver was during the Mac Jones Pats era. I think it would have been, oh, what's the guy's name who didn't make the roster? Bourne, right? Kendrick Bourne was probably Mac's best receiver. And so I've been saying that he's going to go somewhere with a decent kind of offensive coordinator and be a perfectly mid QB, and that's what we're seeing. He is stepped into the role of Brock Purdy, and somehow they're afloat. I don't know that they win an extra game here if it's Brock instead of Mac. You know, just with the situation of the roster,
how long is
he
Brock out for?
he should be able to play this week, if not next week. But it's weird with a foot injury. It's just very difficult to kind of predict when are you going to feel 100% because it's not just planning, it's just getting into your drop back, being able to move if you're being chased. So he's been questionable, I want to say, for 2 weeks, but because Mac has been playing pretty damn well, they haven't felt a need to rush Brock into the season. But I would put the Niners as this is a participation trophy team. You performed better than we would have expected under the circumstances, but we are not expecting anything from you once we get to the playoffs, if they even make it. I think they're in right now, but it could
There's
it
an
could get
argument.
dicey.
So they're 3-1 when it comes to the divisional record, and they're only 2 games behind technically. So there's a potential if Brock Purdy comes back and can play at an elite level. Now the schedule is tough, but there is an opportunity where the 49ers can end the season on top of the division. And I think that just leads down to, do we think that Sam Darnold is going to push the Seahawks all the way up to the top of the division?
Well, I
They're
mean,
there now, but are they going to hold it is the question.
are we talking about the Seahawks or the Niners here? Like, are the Seahawks going to stay on top?
Yes. Are
Well,
the
then,
Seahawks going to stay on top?
well, then that's perfect to ask. Are the Seahawks real or are they fake?
At this point, I don't know. I'm going to go off of the record. I'm going to say they're real. 7-2 is a great record to have. They're right next to who I think is the better team, the LA Rams.
I think they're
I say they're
real.
real.
I think they're
I'm going
real.
to
I
say
don't.
they're real.
I don't even want to go off just the record. The record tells me you're able to win close games, but then watching Sam play, that's another one. If you got Sam Darnold in fantasy, he probably wasn't even drafted in most
Yep.
leagues, or he was a very late QB pickup. You probably got him like I got him on the waivers, and he's doing exactly what he did last year. He is playing in structure. He's making plays. He's still really really mobile, even though he's not a scrambler. Like it's not easy to bring him down. He doesn't panic under pressure like he used to, and he just seems to be in command of that offense. And it helps that Jackson Smith and Jigba just looks like one of the best 5 receivers in the league right now. And I think if you go back to March when they traded DK and we're like, oh my God, the Seahawks traded their best player. What are they doing? I think it was to get Jackson Smith and Jigba the ball more, and it's paid off big time.
100%. 1,041 yards receiving, 63 receptions, 5 touchdowns, and averaging 16.5 yards per
Like
catch. Whew.
he's always open. He he's starting to get that it factor about him where, and we saw it kind of in stretches where he's like, oh wow, Jackson Smith is a great number 2 receiver, and what can he turn into? It reminds me a lot of, remember 7-8 years ago when it was Thielen and Diggs, and Thielen was that receiver 1 for the Vikings, and you had Diggs as your second option, and it was this player who could get open. Diggs was more of a deep threat in a way where he's running those deep posts and able to beat guys with his footwork and timing. And he went to Buffalo, and it's like, no, Diggs is actually a receiver 1. He's not just, second best on a team with a good offense. He can be the receiver that carries your offense. And that's what we're seeing with Smith and Jigba. So I think the Seahawks are real. We have to see if Sam melts down again like he did last year, because they got to the playoffs and the Rams picked them apart in a way that I think cost him millions. And we will see that again. Like, you're going to go see Sean McVay this week. You are going to face this team that kind of embarrassed you last year in LA. What can you do about it? I know it's a different organization. I know it's a different offense now for Sam, but like, this is the QB who saw ghosts. Remember the famous Patriots game, threw 4 or 5 picks. I'm seeing ghosts out there. You're now going into LA. Show us that you have moved past whatever that was in January, because, you know, this is how sports work. You can play great for 14 weeks. If you have a meltdown in the first playoff game, that's all I'm going to think about. And right now we're back in that stage where Sam has played great this year, just below an MVP level. But now you're going into LA. Now we're watching. You've beaten the teams you're supposed to beat. You snuck some games that maybe you weren't supposed to win just on the last second. Can you do it against the Rams, who are our last team in this division? Real or fake? I think the Rams are a Super Bowl contender, 100%. And if I were to talk about who would I put in the NFC Championship game, it's the Eagles, just based on they've been there before and they always find a way. And it's the Rams, who I think are the number 2 team in the NFC right now.
Agreed. Those are my 2 picks.
And so that is the NFC. Take a quick break, water, and then we'll move on to the AFC. All right, and we're back. Real or fake, going through the AFC this time. And let's just start with the 1 seed, the Indianapolis Colts, led by Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor's breakout. I don't want to say breakout season, but like MVP season. He's back and he is running through people. Are the Colts for real this year?
No question. Danny Dimes in peak form. And then Jonathan Taylor just bulldozing everybody that comes through.
And
It's no question.
they're kind of like, they are not just beating teams, they're stomping teams. Other, like, let's take away that Steelers game 2-3 weeks ago. Obviously, they eked it out against the Falcons. I don't count any of the Europe games as like being proof of one thing or another, because they're always weird. It's probably the best EU game we've had all season. Not probably the best. It is the best. We got an overtime game, came down to the final drive. And like we said earlier, the Falcons are not bad to watch. They're not a good team, but they are good TV a lot of the time. And to go and make sure you win, especially coming off of a loss, you win against the teams you're supposed to beat. I do like the Colts and this run they've made. I think they're fake, and that's where we're gonna disagree. I see this as a fun season. I have too much, I don't want to say baggage with Daniel Jones. There's too much evidence that tells me Daniel Jones is not a capable QB when it matters most for me to believe in Indianapolis, no matter what is around him. And so when we get into the postseason and it's now Indy versus Pittsburgh, Indy versus Kansas City, Indy versus even your team. I know they beat you. You know they beat the Broncos earlier this year. I'm not.
by
I'm not
a
taking.
flag.
Yeah, I'm not taking. I'm not taking Indianapolis in any of those head to head matchups. So I find this as a good story, and maybe this should have been included in our surprises. But in terms of if I take them seriously, the Colts are fake to me. This is a fun story that is going to come back to earth. Just like remember Minnesota last year, kind of the same situation, 13-3 or 14-2, whichever one they finished.
Mhm.
And then they get to the playoffs and it is not just bad. It is
What's the
like
biggest difference between Minnesota and the Colts right now?
Colts O line is filthy and they do have a run game. And
And they
I
control the time of possession, and they
like
tire out the defense.
they have
The
more going for them, I think, offensively than the Vikings did, just with their ability to run the ball. That Jonathan Taylor is an X factor that obviously Justin Jefferson, Minnesota is a very similar kind of you can do everything you want to try to stop me and I'll still find a way. And so there are reasons to say, these are different teams, different seasons. You shouldn't just make that comparison. But I think there is this team in football, time and time again, that has a great season, that wins a lot of these close games, but that it just the eye test tells you they are a great regular season team. And I don't have the trust in Danny. I need to see him make a deep playoff run once to believe in them. But I don't have it right now. Now on the flip
See?
side, all right, we might hurt some feelings here. The Denver Broncos locked into that 2 seed. Are the Broncos real or fake?
Broncos are 100% real. Don't listen to the haters.
I'm haters.
Don't
It's
listen to
me.
the haters. This is very reminiscent of the 2015 season. The Broncos were never considered to be in contention. They're in a tough division. They're not going to lead. A Peyton Manning's arm has fell off. There's no way they're going to make the playoffs. The defense cannot carry the team. And we're in the same situation. And the biggest difference here is that there is more of an upside on the offensive side of the ball. Is it inconsistent? Yes. But is the defense great? Yes. What matters is that Bo Nix, as what was shown last year, towards the end of the season, started to play as an elite quarterback. And I think the same thing can repeat this year. Have a slow start, get your shit together, pick it up towards the end of the season, have a playoff run that matters. When you get into the playoffs, the defense, hopefully, if healthy, should be able to play at that same elite level. And all Bo Nix has to do is avoid making turnovers and make the big plays when it matters.
So there are two ways to look at this, right? Because I'm leaning towards fake, but then I have to think, if I think back kind of how the last couple of seasons have gone, the Broncos, for whatever reason, cannot play football from the first to third quarter. Not interested, at least offensively. Let's say that.
Offensively,
The offense needs 3 quarters to warm up. And part of it, I think, is Sean Payton. I don't want to say he's calling plays scared. And obviously, you're watching these more closely than I am in Denver. But
it's definitely a conservative game plan.
it's a very, we trust our QB, but we don't trust our, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah, we trust Bo, but then it's like you're nodding your head as you say it. Like, we trust him. We trust him. We trust him. But the offense itself has not really been created around him and his strengths in a way that I feel like the Broncos are a contender. And part of it is just like, can you give me a game where you're not coming back from down 10, where you're not kind of scrapping for your life against Davis Mills, where it feels like 4 quarters of football was played and that you looked like the better team for all 4 quarters? They do it every couple of weeks. It's like this happens once every 4 games, every 5 games, and then you talk yourself into the Broncos having a lot of momentum, and then it's like it's 9-11 or 13-11 against the Jets, and it's just gross football week after week. It is a tough hang. Your team is not fun to watch for me. It's
Fine. Not
just
every game is going to be fun.
it's
Not
just
every game is not going to be fun. Look, all that matters is when they make it to the Super Bowl, that is entertaining. And I think just like it did in 2015, it will be entertaining.
I'm gonna put a TBD for the Broncos on my vote
Fair
because
enough.
we will learn a lot about them on Sunday if they win this Chiefs game. And you guys have you've beaten the Chiefs like once a year for the
Once a
past couple
year.
of seasons. If you're able to go in and take this game, obviously it's at home. I wonder if we'll be like, okay, the Broncos are for real, and that'll do a lot of damage to the Chiefs for their playoff run.
The Chiefs would end up at 5-5. It would make it a little bit more difficult for them to get in. Although I do believe the Jaguars will
Fall apart.
fall.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Jaguars will fall apart. We're actively seeing that right now. Um, it's still going to be more of a difficult climb.
but I think how you win this game matters a lot. If you go in there and it's you win this game 15-12, I'm going to continue to doubt your team. I'll doubt them all the way. They could win the Super Bowl 9-6, and I'll be
A
like, I
win
don't
is a
know.
win.
I'll
A
be like, I
win
don't
is a
know.
win. A win is a win.
But if you can put up 24 points and don't do it all in the fourth quarter, that will change my outlook on the Broncos quite a bit. So I'm putting a TBD in the Broncos. Meanwhile,
So essentially, we have to be a flashy team in order to get respect, is what I'm
I'm not saying you
hearing.
have to be flashy. You just can't be the worst team to watch for three quarters. You can't be the Jets for the first three quarters.
We're not the Jets for the first three quarters.
Jets play good defense. You watch the Jets. If you flip the uniforms, Jets Broncos 2-3 weeks ago, you tell me Bo Nix was on the Jets, Justin Fields on the Broncos. Like you're playing the same game. The Jets were trying to give you that game. They are running the clock out at the end of the first half. Have no idea what they're doing. They had a chance to win the game.
Look, it was an extremely ugly win, but it was a win.
But
The
that's the
Raiders
problem.
game, an extremely
All of
ugly
your
win,
wins are
but it
ugly
was a
wins.
win. The
Like
Giants game, extremely ugly, but a win.
you gave up the worst punt return touchdown I've seen in years. You somehow punt the ball to the 1 yard line and allow it, like it hits the ground. You could down it right there, and they return it for a touchdown. How does that happen? It's a ugly game week after week. But that doesn't mean you're not real. It just means I need to see more.
Well, I'm going to give you a quick prediction. I have the Broncos playing the Bills and beating Josh Allen. If that happens in the playoffs, would you
Would I say they're
just
real?
would you say they're real?
No, because I just say the Bills are fake.
Fair enough. At
And
least we agree on that point.
that's
But
coming
but
up.
if the Bills are fake, then that means the Broncos are real if they beat them.
Listen, what you're gonna see here is the exact opposite of the NFC. I'm gonna run through these AFC teams, and I'm gonna say most of them are fake, right? Because Broncos beating the Bills, does that make them real? I don't know. Because the next team who did beat the Bills, I don't think they are real, and that is the New England Football Patriots, led by Drake May. I love this team. This obviously I'm biased here. This is the team I follow most closely. They're 8-2, just like your Broncos, but the difference is that is you say cupcake schedule. It's you play the teams who are on the schedule. You beat who you're supposed to beat, and they've shown that ever since that kind of meltdown against Pittsburgh. They have consistently gone out and won the games they're supposed to win. And I wonder if they played Pittsburgh now, if they played Vegas now, if those would not be wins with how this offense has come together, how Drake May looks. He is an MVP candidate right now. How Vrabel looks. I think he's already a lock for Coach of the Year. I wonder maybe the Colts can steal that with Shane Steichen, but my money would be on Vrabel just because he's turned around a team that was picking fourth overall this year, that had a I would say one of the worst 2 year stretches for any team in terms of coaching and leadership and roster management. Belichick towards the end, like just not able to put a functioning roster out there. He hired defensive coordinators to run the offense. And then Mayo, love the guy, but just was not prepared to step in and fill those shoes. And now they're 8-2. They are leading the AFC East by like 2 full games. And yet, I don't view this as a real team for a
So
couple of
you don't
reasons.
consider beating the Buffalo Bills
At the time, I did. At the time, I did. But then I just watched Tua Tagovailoa like
and beating the
stomp them out.
Buccaneers?
Buccaneers was a real win. I'm not saying this is not a real. These are not real wins. These are not great wins. But if you asked me, is this a real team or is this the Commanders last year or the Texans 2 years ago? I would say it's something like that where you get a good coach with a good quarterback against a very weak schedule and teams who do not know yet what they're like.
So then
What
my question is, in the playoffs, what teams do you think the Patriots cannot beat?
I would hate. I would hate to play your team.
But you said my team was fake.
I do think your team is fake. I said your
You
team is TBD. I said
you're
your
you're
team's
scared
TBD.
you're scared of the toss. Let's just keep it
I
1.
said your team is TBD. I said my team is fake.
You're
I would
scared of the toss.
I would not feel. I would hate to see the Chargers. I
The
would hate to
char-
see the Chiefs. I'd hate to see
you're
the
serious?
Ravens.
The Chargers is fake. We didn't even get to that point, but I'll lead into it. Unfortunately, the Chargers are fake because they have no O-line. Their O-line is completely depleted. All 5 players have injuries. Much credit to Herbert for going out there and doing what he's doing week in and week
Yeah,
out,
it's a very
because
quiet 7-3. It's a
the
very
man
quiet 7 and
the
3.
man is running for his life. He has the scrub of scrubs blocking for him, and he's still making it happen. So I think that just lends more credit to the coaching and Herbert altogether to have that situation and thrive in it. But that's something that cannot last.
I think this
It's
is like the Chargers could be turning into those mid 2000 Steelers where every year 10 wins, but then playoffs come around. It's like, maybe if they get hot. But I just wonder how far can you go with your third string tackle, your backup guard? How long can this last? Because I think Herbert is the second most sacked QB in the league behind Drake
Yep.
May. He I will give, all the praise to Herbert again. He gets smoked and gets up every single time. He takes rib shots, he gets thrown to the ground. Like he's taking big hits, and I think part of it's because he's so big, like you have to put extra oomph just to
Mm-hmm.
make him feel something, so it looks a lot worse. But he does not have the he has support, but he does not have the protection that would tell you that this team can go far. And by the time, by the time Bro rolls into the playoffs, it's like he says how much can you handle from this? So
If
you can
if they make the playoffs,
if I think I
if
think I think they're almost certain to make it. I think it's fairly certain they'll slip in there. But so we've got just for bookkeeping, TBD, TBD, fake, and fake. So not a lot of trust here in the AFC side of things. And I think it's just because the teams we would expect to be running the AFC who are not are, they're kind of clouding this. And so now we have like I'm looking at this playoff picture and it looks like, well, I wouldn't say 2012 all over again because the Colts were bad, but Broncos, Patriots, and Steelers at the top. And then you have the sneaky Colts team. And maybe you could say like 2013, 2014 when luck started getting going. So it's an interesting, kind of interesting setup. But if you think the Chargers are fake, going back to the Patriots, I think the Patriots, even though they've proven now twice beating Buffalo, beating Tampa when all the eyes are on them, that they can step up. I think I have so much PTSD from the Mayo era and the last two Belichick years that I would need them. I need to see it in the playoffs. I need to see Drake May go into the playoffs, and he can lose, but play in a way that I believe in them. I just don't see them as a real contender. The Buffalo Bills, second place in the AFC East, fighting for a wild card spot at 6-3. They've dropped games now to the Dolphins and the Patriots, but they beat the Chiefs. Are the Buffalo Bills real?
Buffalo Bills are 100% fake. They have an easy schedule. It's real easy to inflate those numbers when you're playing trash teams. Now, I will say I definitely gave more credit to the Patriots for winning the games that they won. But when it comes to the Bills, Josh Allen is put on a pedestal and he doesn't deserve it.
The Bills have lost ugly games. They
Games that they shouldn't have lost.
like the Patriots lost. Okay, you weren't ready for that. Falcons and Dolphins it's a weird season. It is not the MVP follow up that you would want from Josh. And to think a week ago, I think he was still in first place for MVP odds.
With
But
a similar strength of schedule too. Note last year their strength of schedule was relatively easy, and this year the same exact thing. And it's time for a new player to emerge out of the NFC. Excuse me, out of the AFC East, and that's the New England Patriots. And normally I'd be upset to see the Patriots back at the number one spot, but now that Tom Brady is not at the helm, I appreciate it. And the Bills, I think they're going to be one and done in the playoffs.
Josh is
That's my
still
call.
Josh is still fifth place for MVP. He is right behind Mahomes, Taylor, Stafford, and May. So like I believe in Josh Allen. So where we split, because I've had to watch him smoke my team for 5 years now. I think Josh Allen is the best or second best regular season QB year after year. But I don't trust this version of the Buffalo Bills to go and win when I've seen better versions of this team also lose. I don't think this is the best version of the Bills we've seen in the
Excuse
last
me.
4 years. And I would rather lean towards fake. And the next 4 weeks are going to tell us a lot. All right. They're going to get Tampa. They're going to get, I don't know if, I assume CJ will be back for this game against Houston, but if it's Davis Mills, then that's a wash. And then
Yep.
the last two of the 4 games, you got Patriots, you have Eagles. I will know by then. I should put a TBD instead of leaning right towards fake. But that's the problem with the AFC this year. I just don't trust the teams that are currently in the playoffs. We can spend all of 30 seconds on the Jaguars. Fake. Period. I just it's a team that's going to get in at 9-8, maybe.
Well, right now they play the Buccaneers. This is going to be a good game. 1 p.m. slot. And I don't know if you noticed this year, but the 1 p.m. games have been way more entertaining
Good
than the
football
4
at 1
o'clock.
o'clock. The 4
1
o'clock has been trash.
Trash. Although this previous week, the 4 o'clock games were all blowouts.
You don't want blowouts. You want good football,
Competitive
close
games.
football.
Yeah. So I think the Bills, if they can muster a win through the Buccaneers, then I would say they're closer to real than they are fake. But if they lose this game, I'm sticking with my guns and saying they're fake.
Okay. Let's step over Jacksonville. There we can get another participation trophy for the Jaguars. We have 3 teams currently out of the playoff picture. All right. Chiefs, Texans, Ravens. Where do you want to start there?
Chiefs, I'm going to say they're real. Anytime you have a Super Bowl winning MVP quarterback at the helm, your team is always in contention. I'm surprised that they were able to turn the season around with a slow start. I think the Chiefs are real. Just like you, unfortunately, I've had to watch the Chiefs host the Lombardi multiple years. And, I think Pat Mahomes is the best quarterback on any roster right now.
I think
So I'm gonna
like
go with the Chiefs are real.
like we said earlier, this is going to tell us a lot on Sunday, and I think how whoever wins this game wins it is going to determine whether or not I feel like they are contenders or if it's still TBD. If the Chiefs go out and win 28-14 and it's like 4 quarters of great football, then I'm fully in on the Chiefs. And I'm also with you. The Chiefs are real. And this is just one of those seasons where they got unlucky. People treat Rashid Rice like he was injured and like he returned from injury. Like, no, bro got suspended
Four
for
games, all right?
6 games.
Oh,
Yeah, bro got suspended for committing actual crimes. Glad he's back, but like he didn't come back from injury. I mean, he did get injured last year, but he was not missing from this season because of injury. You know, he wasn't rehabbing to get back. Like he was available. It's just now these legal issues that kind of caused the suspension, and now he's through that, and he looks great. They can't run the ball at all. Um, how far can you go if neither of your running backs can get you a first down on 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2? I like it's weird. Like they are so good at converting time and time again. They just have so many plays they can hit you with. But then my gut, the old school, this is how football games are won. You can't win a game if you can't run the ball. If you can't even threaten to run the ball. And even though I think they're real, that is, I don't know, how do you solve that when each week you can maybe squeeze 50 yards out of whoever's starting, when you're relying on year 9 Kareem Hunt, when you're basically getting 60% of your rushing yards from Pat.
mm-hmm.
Pacheco has never returned from his injury 100%. Kareem Hunt, obviously, just a lot of miles on those legs, so it's a different story.
Pat's gonna put on the cape like he does year in and year out. He's gonna become Superman. If there's any team that makes it to the playoffs, and I feel confident that they 100% have a Super Bowl running in them, it's the Chiefs.
No, I'm not denying that, but putting on the cape does not mean. I mean, what are we arguing against? Because I think they're real too. So I think Pat can do it and put on the cape because I've seen it. It's the opposite of the Daniel Jones effect. I've seen Pat go in and we've picked teams over the Chiefs when they've had years like this where it's like, oh, the Bengals are going to get
Yep.
him, the Bills are going to get him this time.
Nope.
Oh, watch out, the Texans are finally good. Watch out, time and time again, whoever we elevate above the Chiefs are like, okay, bet, go in and win like it's nothing. But
And then when you have the refs on your side,
and I don't think they've been on their side as much this year. I think it's
no.
I think it's been more even. But listen, this is not, of all the schedules, this is brutal. This is what happens when you go to the Super Bowl year and year again. You play the number one teams in every conference or every division. They're going to see your team. Like your conference itself is very tough. They're going to go see Indy. They're going to go see the Chargers. Do they have Chargers?
Second best competitive conference.
Like they have the Chargers. They have the Chargers, and then they play your team twice. You maybe get a cupcake win against Tennessee and Vegas, but if they drop 2 or 3 of these games, unfortunately, like we could be looking at a 9-8 Chiefs or a 10-7 Chiefs that miss the playoffs because of that head-to-head loss against the Jaguars. And we could say, well, the Chiefs are still real. It just, things went sideways for them. The Texans, on the other hand, they're not real, but I feel like for different reasons than a lot of these other teams. It is injury. It is a weird kind of just season where things never fully clicked. They never got guys 100%. I think losing to you or your Broncos did a lot, but like they've played a tough schedule. I think they
Yeah.
started the year against who they started against LA. than Tampa. They get one, the Jaguars aren't bad. Like they've played good teams. They get the cupcake wins against the Titans, but they've definitely seen a schedule that is pretty tough. They've won some of these games, they've lost others. It's just been a lot of 50-50 games, but they've never really been out of whatever game they're in. And actually, every single one of their losses, it looks like, are one score losses. Like it's just the coin tosses have been going against them, and the rest of the season really isn't any easier. And even if they can scratch to 9 wins, I don't know. I don't know if I see 9 wins here. I don't think they can get above 8. This might be a
Agreed.
participation award team. Like, thanks for trying. You did your best. We're proud of you.
They play the LA Chargers, then they play the Cardinals. They'll definitely beat the Cardinals. I have them winning that
Will they
game.
definitely beat the Cardinals? Will they?
The
The Cardinals
Cardinals and the
they're not an easy
Titans.
win.
The Cardinals and the Titans should be layups. They should be, in theory.
Cardinals are not an easy win. I know they got smoked by the Seahawks, but like Cardinals are a tough hang. Like they'll stick around no matter who's playing QB. Apparently, like the Cardinals are at least a team that you can't just say, okay, this is a W.
Well, they play the Jets. Can we at least say that's a win?
I can say the Jets are a win.
And the Titans. They play the Titans twice. Can we say those are wins?
Titans are wins by 60.
So that's 3 wins on top of their 5-4 right now. That would put them at 8-4. Well, if you count the other losses, but that's an 8-win season.
Titans and Cardinals gets them to 7. Or no, does that get them to 6? Hold on. No, they're 4-5. Yeah, no, they're out. They're
4-5?
Yeah, they're 4-5.
Thought they were 5-4.
No, 4-5, and they still have the Bills, Chiefs, Colts twice, and Chargers.
Wait. What team are we talking about?
The Texans.
Oh, the Texans. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the Jaguars.
No. Jaguars are fake.
Okay, excuse me.
I don't need to talk about the Jaguars.
Texans, let's see.
The Jaguars should be in their own category just for the Jaguars, which is like
their defense is pretty solid. So let's see. They play Tennessee. That's definitely a win. I think they can beat Buffalo.
I don't know who's playing. I think I'd assume CJ is back, but if he's got a concussion/neck, I don't know. Is that a Thanksgiving game? No, it's a Thursday game.
Thursday game, prime time.
I don't know.
Amazon Prime.
I think they're
then
out
they
of
play
it.
the Colts. Then they play the Chiefs, the Cardinals, Vegas, and then it's a tough. You know what?
I mean,
Any given Sunday,
if they sneak into the playoffs,
that'd be crazy.
Kind of be covered in blood.
Yeah.
Half a leg is hanging off. Like, I'm still here.
At that point, they earned it.
They really did. If they can get in here, but it's just you're gonna have to beat 2 of these good teams. Maybe you get the Colts in week 17, and the Colts are 14-2, and are like, we're gonna play our starters for 1 quarter, and that's it. Like, you could get lucky with scheduling that the Colts are not even trying to win on the 4th. But you need to rob 2 teams that are definitely better and win the games where you're worse, and then find one more. Like, you need to find 5 wins here, and it's not going to be easy.
So what's the hang up? Why are the Texans not playing at a better caliber?
They've had hard games. They've had a hard schedule. They've lost every one of these games by 1 score. They've just been on the, unlucky end. Their offense has not fully clicked like it did 2 years ago. Nico Collins has been up and down with just health. The O-line is still bad. CJ, Justin Herbert, kind of a similar situation, except it's not really injuries for the Texans as much as it is just a poorly constructed O-line. They can't run the ball. They don't have a run game like that, and they really have never found that other than those first 4 weeks last year with Joe Mixon. And again, they've been in close games. They are playing these teams well and just losing it in the fourth. They played you guys. They were leading 16, what was it? 15-13, 15-9 going into the like they're in the lead, and I don't want to say giving games away. They're just not finding these wins. The defense is still, I don't want to say good. Defense is good enough, and they will win the games they're supposed to win. They haven't lost against teams that they're absolutely better than, but
Top five defense.
as soon as it's a team that's like above 500, it's a fight, and they're just not there. So that's why I don't see them as real. The Baltimore Ravens, though, and this will be our last team. I 4-5, same record, right? And they lost to the Texans, and yet I still believe in the Ravens. I fully believe in the Ravens.
If there's any team that can turn their season around, it's the Baltimore Ravens. Now that we have a healthy Lamar Jackson, the sky's the limit.
And like
And
the
and the
schedule,
schedule isn't difficult
the
either.
schedule is opened up
The
big time.
schedule is definitely winnable. This is the stretch that they needed to rebound. If anybody's going to boot KC out of the playoff run, I think it's Baltimore.
And like they went without Lamar. They had the weird Derrick Henry fumbles first 4 weeks. I don't know, maybe put glue on his biceps on his arm now so he doesn't lose the ball.
Finally cleaned it up.
Like they lost to teams that were good. They lost to the Bills, lost to the Lions, lost to the Chiefs, lost to the okay, maybe not the Texans, but that was the Cooper Rush game. And
Mm-hmm.
then Tyler Huntley, and obviously the Rams got them.
And then every game that they lost close. So 30-38.
No,
I
they
don't.
got smoked. They got smoked by the Texans. But that was
Yeah,
Cooper Rush. And then it was Huntley against the Rams. I think it was Huntley against the Rams, or maybe it was still Rush against the Rams and then Huntley against the Bears.
but to hold them to 3-17 is pretty good.
Yeah, especially that offense. But then like you got Cleveland, you've got Cincy twice, you've got the Jets and the Steelers twice. And unfortunately, I do think this Steelers thing with Rodgers, it's an inconsistent quarterback now who can kind of dial it up every now and then, but I don't feel confident in him to put together a full drive. It feels a lot like Phillip Rivers in
Mm-hmm.
Indianapolis, just hanging
He's
on.
he's very. I feel as though Aaron Rodgers is very. He's playing scared.
Well, he doesn't want to get hit
Hit.
anymore.
And
So
then
that's
I
why you're seeing
think
all these
that
balls thrown in the
changes.
dirt.
Yeah, that changes his mentality. It changes. I mean, honestly, I think that has everything to do with the woes that they're experiencing. He's an older quarterback. He's aware of his age, and it's telling. It's showing in his play.
And he no longer feels like he can get out of pressure like he could.
He can't get out of pressure. He's literally a 40-year-old man. You might as well give him a walker whenever he tries to scramble out of the pocket.
And he's not bad. It's just the way the Steelers offense works. It feels like an offense that's stuck in 2011. And it has been for 12 years, 13 years. And I think Rodgers, if you told me, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, he's the MVP, right? Back to back MVP. And obviously you have the Achilles injury, but I think it's just the continued, I don't want to say, he's old, he's 40. Tom Brady is the only QB we have ever seen go into their 40s and still be an elite QB. For
Brett
Rodgers to
Favre.
go from,
Brett Favre.
he wasn't still elite. He had one good year, I think, at 38, 39, and then it fell off hard. I've always said,
He had that run. He had that run with the Vikings. Came down to the last play in the playoffs.
yeah, but I think he was under 40 still.
Oh, he wasn't 40. I could have.
I think he was still
40.
under 40.
Okay, fair enough. Fair
I
enough.
think he turned 40 the next season, and they didn't go as far.
Fair
But
enough.
like, for Rodgers to go from being, up until Mahomes, basically the best QB to ever pick up a football, for the first 14 years. And then now he is a top, 16 quarterback who can turn it on sometimes, but needs a lot to go his way and cannot run and does not want to be hit. You're limited. You're limited, and he is limited as a quarterback. So the Ravens have this opportunity here to come back from wherever they were. Were they 3-5? I think, or were they 2-5 or 3-5? Let's go back. Let's go back. Reverse time.
I think it was 2-5.
The Ravens were 2-5, and teams were still saying they believe in them. And I believe in them. Like the Browns, all credit to Dylan Gabriel. He will make a great backup for years to come. You know, the Jets, again, all praise and credit to Justin Fields. He will find a new team next year. He could be the Carolina QB. Who knows? But they could realistically win 6 of their last 7 or 6 of their last 8. And now they're 10-7, you know. And I would trust them, especially if Lamar is able to stay upright. If that hamstring holds, they should have won last year in the playoffs. I think all respect goes to Buffalo for finding a way to win. But you are a dropped 2-point conversion away from going into overtime with a team that was hot and that was rolling. And I would, especially in this AFC, I would hate to see the Ravens coming in hot in the postseason. I don't want to see that. So, but let's quickly recap. Okay, real or fake? We're going to go down the list of the contenders. We have the Eagles. Both of us are real. Seahawks, both of us are real. I think, and it's going to show like the NFC, we just trust a lot more. Lions, both real. Buccaneers, both real. Rams, both real. That's the first 5 seeds in the NFC that we all think are real. Bears, you said fake. I said fake for the Bears. Packers.
I said real.
I said
real.
You said real for the Bears.
Real for the Bears.
Okay. Packers, I said TBD. I'm waiting. And then the 49ers got a participation trophy. And then onto the AFC with the Colts, I said fake. And not that they're not having a good season, not that they're not good. I just don't see this team going anywhere. So I can't trust them. And I don't trust your team either, but I think I gave a TBD participation trophy.
All right.
Patriots, fake. Steelers, very fake. Fraudulent. We'll not go that far. Chargers, is this a participation award team? Like, or
unfortunately due to injuries.
Not their fault. Not their fault.
Not at fault.
Bills, TBD, but leaning fake. Leaning fake. It's not there yet. Jaguars. The Jaguars get their own special category just for the Jaguars, where you are the most Jaguars team this season. Every year it will be awarded to the Jaguars. And then we've
typical. It was expected.
It is on brand. It is the same season they've had every year. Whether or not they get 9-8, 8-9, 3-14, 14-3, it was a Jaguars season where nobody came out of it expecting you to do anything more than what you did. And that is the perfect award for the most Jacksonville Jaguars team in the league. And then Ravens and Chiefs, real. Texans, again, participation award. They could claw their way in there. But it's a lot that's not their fault. Before we wrap up, any notes you want to look at next week or this week's upcoming games in the schedule? Anything that stands out to you?
Let's do a quick rundown. So let's take a look at the schedule that we have this season. This week. So starting off, we have New England Patriots versus the Jets. I have New England winning.
Yeah,
Then we also have Miami Dolphins at the Washington Commanders.
in Madrid, in
Oh,
Spain,
oh
first
yeah,
Spain game.
this is the international game.
Hmm.
You know what? I think this is anybody's game, especially if Daniels won't be playing, but
Daniels is out.
if Mariota comes back, and he's been slinging the ball down the field, I think this is anybody's game. Miami has been playing some rough football this year. Um, if I have to choose, I'm going to go with Miami.
I got Miami by 10. I don't
Move
have faith,
moving to
really.
Atlanta and Carolina. I'm going to go with I think Bryce Young, even though he's not the quarterback that we thought he can turn out to be. I think he's playing decently this year. I don't know what it is with the Falcons. They can't get their shit together. I'm gonna go with Carolina for the win. Um,
If it's just
Buffalo
coaching,
versus
just to add to the Falcons Panthers, if we're just going coaches versus coaches, I think the Falcons are in the bottom five. I think you look at the weapons they have with Pitts. All right, Pitts has never become elite, but he's still, I mean, they're not 10 tight ends better than him. Bijan is probably the second best running back in the league right now, you
then if you
know.
stop Bijan, the
But
team
then
fall flats on the.
Drake London's a top 7 receiver, top 8 receiver. They should be better than this, and they do play these teams close. That's why they're a good hang. I
Okay,
I don't think Penix is very good. I'm not going to pick the Falcons either, but
I
I
have
do think
Carolina.
a case can be made that the Falcons in a different coaching structure next year, which I think is going to happen, are not a bad roster. But that's all I'll say on the Falcons. I would still pick. I don't want to pick the Panthers because the Panthers are the Panthers. The Panthers are like the Jaguars. It's just, do I want to put faith in you? And I'm not there yet.
Okay, fair enough. So now we have the Buccaneers versus the Buffalo Bills. I think Baker
Good
Mayfield
ball.
is pissed off. It's going to be entertaining. I have Baker pissed off. Um, I got Tampa.
Tampa going into upstate New York. This does seem like a Baker statement game. Like, do
I'm
you
still that guy.
do you trust, like, someone is going to have to lose 2 games in a row here? You know, who is going to respond off of a loss better, Josh Allen or Baker Mayfield?
Baker Mayfield.
And I feel like I trust Baker to bounce back, but that is my bias against Josh Allen. Not against Josh. I think Josh is amazing. Breaks my heart, but he is
Josh
fantastic.
is not amazing, but okay.
But I do think a pissed off Baker who feels like we could have won that game against the Patriots is going to see Josh Allen and see a statement win here,
Yep.
especially with a Bills team that kind of got picked apart by Miami, that had
Yep.
no fight, and that can be exposed, at least in the secondary. I would lean Tampa. That's a good matchup. That's a good 1 p.m.
Mhm.
game. Wow.
That's going to be a good game. And
1
then we
p.m.
have the Chargers versus the Jaguars.
Mm.
Uh, Chargers
I feel like we see
easily.
this game every year.
Yeah. It's going to be the Chargers, no question.
Ugh.
I don't think Jacksonville has the pass rush to. I mean, granted, anybody's going through that line, but I think Herbert will do just fine. I have Chicago beating Minnesota.
Do you?
Yeah, JJ McCarthy is not it. The air punts that he throws week in and week out,
I like the arm punch.
interceptions left and right. I mean, it's entertaining, but I mean, it's not a good ball when it goes to the other team.
I don't think I
So
can pick the Bears here.
I'm
I
going
just
with the Bears. Bears are going to be 7-3 going into next week.
I just can't trust it. I think this is a
Um,
Vikings get right game.
Green Bay should win this game, Green Bay versus New York, but for some reason,
This is Jameis.
I
Big
feel like
Jameis energy.
it depends. It depends who
I don't know.
starts. I don't think it's going to be Russ.
No, it's
I think.
Jameis. They announced it
Oh,
earlier
it's
today. It's
been
Jameis.
announced.
Yeah.
I got New York.
Jameis at MetLife.
Give me New York. Jameis has been sitting on the bench for too
I,
long.
I, I don't know. I think the
He said
Giants
his
fans are going to get
prayer.
into it. I think he's going to have the fans behind him. It's
Yes.
unfortunate how Russ has gone out, but the fans, there's like the stadium is dead when Russ takes a snap
Yeah,
at this point. And I
it's
do
all right.
think the crowd is going to be behind Jameis. I think they'll spot him 2 picks, or they will still be like, Jameis, we believe in you. We love you. And
He's
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 like,
he's gonna go 3 for 3 and win the game
he's good for like the first 2 starts. You can kind of lean, towards Jameis for 2 weeks. And
because he
then,
has the ability to turn around and throw 5 touchdowns.
yeah,
But then
and
he
then
also has the
the four
ability to
pick
turn
game
around and throw
comes.
4 picks. Yeah, and we're talking pick sixes too. On top of that,
I
he,
kind of, hold on. What is the forecast for this weekend? Because we've had some snow, we've had ice. I'm saying this as if I'm still in New Jersey, but I know there has been snow
I couldn't tell
and
you
ice. So Sunday, light rain. Okay, mid 40s. Okay. Okay. Because I was wondering if this is a snow game. I like Jameis even more. Jameis in the rain. Is it bad that I like Jameis in bad weather? Bad weather Jameis? I have no reason to believe in him. Light rain
you have
on a,
every reason to believe in
on a
him.
chilly November day
He's gonna
in New
ball
Jersey.
out. He's gonna ball out. He's been on the bench
Interesting.
for too long. So now we have Cincinnati at Cincinnati versus Pittsburgh.
Ew.
Joe
Unk
Flacco's
Bowl.
been playing.
Unk Bowl. Pittsburgh has to win.
It's going to
Pitts,
be entertaining. I think it's going to be entertaining. I'm going to give it to Pittsburgh.
they cannot lose to the Bengals twice in one season. Pittsburgh has to win.
And then we have Houston at Tennessee. We all know the answer there. I think Houston's going to win, but they're going to win ugly.
I think Houston has to win by 20. I don't know if they will, but I think for me to have more faith in them, this
It's
needs
like
to be
13-3. It's
they
13-3.
they need to kind of strangle Tennessee here and just really statement win. Like, we can do this with or without CJ. We're a better team no matter what.
And then moving into the last 3 games, we have San Francisco 49ers versus the Arizona Cardinals.
This will be an amazing game.
49ers is going to win it.
It'll be a dumb game, but it will be good. It'll be good TV.
Now, the matchup, too, that we want to see is Seattle versus the LA Rams.
4 p.m.
That
game.
will be, I think I'm going to call that for the game of the week. That's going to be the game that matters.
Well, I
That's the
mean,
game that you don't want to miss.
what's tough is that you're going to have Rams Seahawks going head to head with Broncos Chiefs. That's going to be hard. I mean,
Split the screen. Split the
you,
screen.
you don't have to say game of the week. This could be like huge down the season, like down the line. This is
Mhm.
going to tell us who we think is an NFC contender. This could have a huge impact on the MVP race. If Darnold
Mhm.
goes in there and slings it, outplays Stafford, I think he's going to jump up in those odds. But if Stafford continues what he's been doing, which has been more or less the best season of his career, to me, he will start to look like the MVP favorite. So this is huge
Yep.
for multiple reasons here. And then you have your Broncos, Kansas City. Again, this is going to say a lot about these teams. I think, what is it? Rams, Seahawks, both 7-2, Broncos 8-2.
Mhm.
Like, this is good ball. It's unfortunate that neither of these are the primetime game, because the primetime game is also fantastic. But I'm going to pick Kansas City, and I'm going to take the
KC.
Rams. I'm going to go Rams KC.
Rams KC. Okay. I'm going to go Rams Denver, of course.
Okay. So faith in the Rams. We split on the Broncos. I just want to see it from you guys. I want to see 2 quarters. You don't have to play good the first half, but I want a competent third quarter.
Who's at home for this game?
You're at home, right?
That's a win. Yep.
You are at
That's a
home,
win.
Mile High.
That's a win.
And then,
Note 2 years ago, I went to Mile High and got to see the Broncos play for the first time at their home stadium. And it was a Chiefs game. And when I was gifted the seats, it was a Father's Day present. And I was scared because I was like, damn, out of all the teams that I'm gonna go see my Broncos play, I'm gonna have to watch them play the Chiefs. And the Broncos snuck out a win with Russell Wilson.
which win was that? Is that the last second field goal? No, the
It's
field goal was blocked. That was
no,
or
no. We
last
we
year.
won. We won the game defensively. We scored. We were ahead, and then we stopped them on the last drive
Mm,
2 years ago. And Russell Wilson was the quarterback,
mm.
and it was a snow game at that.
I do remember that. Okay.
It was a snow game.
I'm still
So
picking the Chiefs. Well, in Denver, maybe I'll, you know what?
in Denver,
I'm going to pick the Chiefs. I'm not going to change my mind, but I'm not going to be surprised if I'm wrong. All right, let's get to these last three.
Baltimore, Cleveland. We know
Baltimore.
this one.
Baltimore by a lot.
Baltimore. Lamar's
Eagles,
back.
Lions.
Ah,
The
I'm gonna
vibes
go
are
with the
bad in
Lions.
Philly.
I'm gonna go with the Lions. I think Philly is a good team. I think they're real, but then you know,
The vibes are
Philly
bad.
Philly cannot match a high scoring game, and I think the Lions will make this a high scoring game.
Now, I disagree. I think the Eagles step up when their opponent is good, but I don't think. And how much does it matter if your team actually likes playing together? You know, how much does it matter if your team likes playing for their coach, if your receiver's pissed off, if Saquon hasn't gotten
Mm-hmm.
going? I wonder if they look at this Lions game like, yep, everybody's doubting us again, and they go in here and get another statement win on the Lions and then continue to hate each other. Like they could just be the toxic relationship team where like you look from the outside like this is terrible, they need to break up. And then they continue to somehow make it work and it looks great. Or at least not looks great, but they're able to make it work. I don't know that this team will look the same next year. I don't know that by the time we get to January, we will even care that the vibes were bad. But this is an opportunity for another statement win at home. And it just seems like every time the Eagles get these games, they come out with a win. So I'm going to take the Eagles here just
Huh?
because even though it has not been perfect, like we saw Kansas City for 2 years in a row now, where it's like, are the Chiefs okay? What's wrong with the Chiefs? Why doesn't the offense work? Is uh, Pat Mahomes frustrated? And then they go 13-3. And I think the Eagles have gotten to that point where they've won so much that they are able to find ways to win, even if there are other things that are issues that are kind of causing problems behind the scenes. They're able to
Mm-hmm.
put it aside once the coin is up. The coin is up. What does that mean? Once the game starts, once it's time, they're kind of able to put that aside for 4 quarters, go win a game, and then they can go back to arguing afterwards. So I'm going to take Philly, especially at home. You know, I
All
think
right.
Philly wins this game, but nobody will be happy afterwards. Is
We're on
that it?
opposite ends here. I'm sticking with Detroit. I got Detroit winning this one. So let's see. And last but not least, the
Oof.
game that nobody cares about, but
Maybe
we
the
will be
least.
watching.
Ugh.
And how did they get the primetime slot?
Everybody gets a Monday night game. Everybody gets a Monday night game.
Everybody gets one.
Ugh. I mean, there's an alternate reality where the Raiders are like 6-3, and it's like Brady's up there in the booth, and the Cowboys are 5-4.
Yeah, nah.
There's going to be a lot of Cowboys fans in Vegas for this game. This is going to make the NFL a lot of money. I think this is going to have good ratings, but ugh,
What an ugly game.
ugh. I don't know who wins. I mean, the Cowboys have to win.
Dak should win it.
The Raiders are
He
spiraling,
should.
but ugh.
You know, they'll have a top pick, top 3.
Raiders have lost their last 2 games by 4 total points.
Yeah, they're gonna have a top 3 pick.
Oh man, that's bad football. But listen, we've got to get out of here. Any thoughts, any questions, comments, concerns, or quizzes before we get out?
No, we're good to go here.
All right. Thanks, Shawn. Thank you all for listening, and we will see you probably Monday, I think. Monday.